Hi everyone, Squirrel Bait here, and welcome to Going Sideways, where I discuss current events that affect our preparedness and our freedoms. Remember a while back I did a video, it was called DNA is Surveillance Now Too, and it was talking about when you send in your blood to one of these like Ancestry.com kind of things, MyHeritage.com, and how your DNA is then put in a database and they're saving that information, and that the authorities and whoever else would have access to it. Remember that video? Well, to refresh your memory, because something came down the pike related to it, to refresh your memory, it was an article from NBC News. DNA databases can send the police or hackers to your door, study finds. And again, just to refresh your memory real quick, more than 60% of Americans who have had some European ancestry can be identified using DNA databases, even if they have not submitted their own DNA, because a lot of people have requested their ancestry, sending in samples from their DNA. So it doesn't have to be you, just a relative of yours. Enough people have done some kind of DNA test to make it possible to match much of the population. The researchers said. So even if you don't submit your own DNA, if a cousin does, it could lead people to you. Right? Remember that? Especially the authorities. Well, here in Iowa, have an interesting news story, and it has a bit of a gem in there, if you will. It has a bit of a nugget in here that I want you to think about, that I want you to be aware of, and that's why we're doing this video today. All right, so this is from KCC8 Des Moines, and this story is out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It is titled, Family of Martinko Murder Suspect Says Arrest Came as a Complete Shock. Michelle was an 18-year-old, and 39 years ago, she was murdered in a mall parking lot. So that's 39 years ago. They had, forensics done at the time, 39 years ago, and of course saved everything. All right. So, according to this article, police said they were able to connect this gentleman, last name is Burns, to the case with DNA evidence. Watch now. Okay? There's an important small little fact here that we need to address. Authorities said they believe Burns stabbed the Kennedy High School senior in the chest and face inside a car parked at the Westdale Mall in Cedar Rapids. Investigators using the blood samples to develop a partial male DNA profile. A partial male DNA profile. Then they used genealogical data as well as covertly collected DNA samples from Burns to positively identify him with a partial DNA sample. Law enforcement authorities said Burns hasn't been able to explain why his DNA would be at the crime scene, nor does he remember committing the crime. Well, here's something, I just have to say. Law enforcement authorities said, it's more like they admit that he can't explain why his DNA, okay, I'm not convinced it's his DNA, based on a partial sample. A partial sample. I would love to be the attorney for this guy. I would rip this apart. Absolutely rip this apart. And he is being held on a $5 million cash-only bail as well. So this is what we need to talk about. People hear the word DNA, they immediately think, oh, science. Oh, it's science. They're trying to convict this guy. Now, maybe there's a ton of other evidence that could be, but our discussion is not about whether or not this guy did this and they truly caught him. It's that using DNA data from relatives compared to a partial DNA sample then hunts you down? Really? Oh, I can see all kinds of abuse here, because you notice something. In this case and in the other video that I did, they're all cold cases. These aren't recent cases. I mean, try to prove what happened 39 years ago. And can you just picture this? Think about this. You have a jury, and you have DNA experts, and experts come in and talking about DNA on a case that's 39 years old, that is literally hanging on a partial DNA sample. And they make it sound so scientific. And here you are trying to build a defense over something 39 years ago. That if you're innocent, what are you going to do? Do you see where I'm going with this? Can you see how this could be used to convict innocent people? I sure can. I sure can. That's my concern here. A partial male DNA profile. Even if they didn't track him down through the genealogy database, just managed to somehow get a DNA sample, you compare that to a partial and then say you have a match? Really? That's science? Have you noticed how the word science has been abused a bit? Yeah. So watch out for stuff like this. Oh, it's science. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Question everything.